So based on the stats, it's not even close. You know, the reason why I'm having this conversation is because every time I tune into social media, I'm always hearing about how good the Mexican fighters are. And they are pretty good. But whenever someone has the same conversation about the FBA or so-called BLK fighter, it becomes a problem. It becomes an issue. You know, when you go to posters on Facebook, Instagram, or wherever the case may be, that's about an FBA fighter, the comment section is usually a disaster, filled with racial comments, filled with disrespect, filled with every negative thing that you can think of towards the FBA or so-called BLK American fighter. Now, I rarely see people talking about how good the BLK fighter or the BLK American fighter is. And in truth, they are pretty damn good. They are the standard. And I've always say, without the BLK American fighter, there is no boxing. Point blank, period. There is no boxing without the BLK American fighter. Tell me I'm lying. Because when you look throughout social media, instead of fans having conversations about their favorite fighter, they're always talking about the BLK American fighter, whether it's good or bad. That's a fact. People build their platforms off of making hate videos towards the BLK fighter. I mean, look at BDA's. Look at his platform. His platform was built off of his hatred towards the BLK fighter. Thunderdome Boxing, his platform was built off the hatred towards the BLK fighter. Sean Newton, his platform was built off the hatred towards the BLK American fighter. So without the BLK American fighter, there is no boxing. There is no conversation. Okay? Now, I want to get into something that I rarely see people talking about. And again, that's how good the BLK American fighter is. What do they bring that other fighters don't have? And that's just simple talent. That's the fact. Talent. When it comes to talent, there is no comparison. The BLK American fighter is your complete package. Abdullah Mason is the complete package. He is a friendly fighter. You're going to get a fight when it comes to Abdullah Mason. You're going to get speed when it comes to Abdullah Mason. You're going to get power when it comes to Abdullah Mason. You're going to get athleticism when it comes to Abdullah Mason. You're going to get skill when it comes to Abdullah Mason. He is the complete package. Can he lose? Absolutely. He's human. But he is the complete package. You don't see that anywhere else but from the BLK American fighter. Sure, Mexican style is pretty fun to watch, but that's basic. Okay, come forward, throw a lot of punches, basic. That's why they usually gets beat by the BLK American fighter, because the BLK American fighter has more in their arsenal, skills, and they can match them blow for blow. So with the BLK American having more in their arsenal and being able to match the Hispanic fighter blow for blow, I mean, that's why, you know, when it comes to who having the most wins, the BLK American fighter is winning by a landslide. It's not even close. But how good is the BLK American fighter? They're really good. You want to see the sweet science on full display? Watch Richardson Hitchens. You want to see a pure boxer? Watch Shakur Stevenson. You want to see a boxer puncher? Watch Gervonta Davis. You want to see boxer puncher / outboxer? Watch Devin Haney. You want to see a freak of nature? Watch Boots Ennis. He has it all: power, speed, athleticism, skills, everything. He has it all. And so when I see people talking about how, and don't get me wrong, I think every fighter deserves to be acknowledged for what they do and what they bring. But when you isolate a group of fighters based on your hatred towards them, with the lack of the acknowledgement and the constant disrespect towards the BLK fighter, you're doing the sport little to no service, because you are degrading the sport of boxing's best fighters. History proves that the BOK American fighters have always been the best fighters. The BOK American boxing fan doesn't need to include BOK fighters from around the world, because the BOK American fighters are the standard. History speaks for itself. There are more all-time great BOK fighters than there is other fighters. However, when it comes to the Mexican American fan, they have to include fighters from Mexico. They have to do that. They have to seek fighters from a whole different country so they can feel like they have a great representation in the sport of boxing. The Black American boxing fan don't need to do that. We don't need to jump on the bandwagon or, for a BOK fighter that isn't American. We don't need to do that. We've never had to do that. We never have to include other BOK fighters that are not American, because our fighters has been holding it down since the beginning. And they're still holding it down in the sport of boxing. They're still the best fighters in the sport of boxing. They're still running boxing. And this is no shades to the Mexican American boxing fan, but this is something that people are too afraid to say. They're too afraid to acknowledge the truth. Mexican American boxing fan have to include fighters from Mexico so they can feel like they have a great representation in the sport of boxing, even though the fighters from Mexico don't fight for Mexican American fans. They fight for fans that are in Mexico. And that's for a fact. So when it comes to the BOK American fighter, they're just that much better. And again, from time to time, they will lose. And this is why when they do lose, there's always a mass celebration. And even for the fighter that ends up beating the BOK American fighter, to them, that is their trophy that they can hang on their wall. Just like the case with William Zepeda beating Lamont Roach. If William Zepeda was stripped tomorrow, I don't think he would care, because his win over Lamont Roach holds more value than the hardware that he now carries.